It's happening. A mystical gateway that few will recognize has just opened, and almost no one is prepared for its demands. This gateway cares nothing for fame or following. Its sole concern is exactitude. We've arrived at the 66th portal, a sacred energetic checkpoint, and beneath its influence, something extraordinary is occurring. Mars, the cosmic warrior, moves toward an intersection with Ketu. The stillness is profound. While the alignment technically perfects tomorrow, its effects are already rippling through space, and intuitive souls like yourself are already sensing the vibrations. They are the ones who've traversed this existence with weighted spirits and unseen wounds, those who understand the daily struggle without spectators or recognition. This gateway reveals itself to those who persevered when nothing made sense, and as it activates, it awakens a particular kind of ache, one that only the chosen have ever known, a depth of feeling that ordinary souls have never experienced. If recently you felt your greatest challenges have become invisible to those around you, you're welcome to share below. You're not alone in this experience, and if it speaks to you, leave 1 to 191 in the comments with your reflections. This number carries a current. It's connected to silent victories, personal struggles, and missions that go uncelebrated. And if you've been rising from sleep more drained than when you retired, as though engaged in nocturnal combat you can't quite recall, stay tuned because there's a specific explanation for your current experience. It's not coincidental, and I'll reveal the exact reason shortly. Because what this portal stirs isn't unfamiliar. It's the same burden you've shouldered before, but intensified. Now it's returned to evaluate your true growth. It's remarkably familiar, this sensation. You've always known it, though now it resonates more powerfully. It's not sorrow, heartache, or unease. It predates all these emotions. It's the pressure that accompanies your soul's renewed calling. You see, the chosen ones don't learn this pain anew. They carry it across lifetimes. And each time the soul receives its summons to step forward, the pressure intensifies, like an ancient code reactivating within your nervous system. That heaviness in your chest, that unexplained surge of energy, that persistent exhaustion. You're not breaking down. You're being evaluated. Because this portal doesn't distribute rewards, it initiates transformation. And before bestowing what awaits, it must verify. Can you handle the frequency? That's the reason for your current state. Your system is being pushed to its limits, not for destruction, but for expansion. Here's what few are prepared to face. This isn't merely preparation, it's selection. Because after this phase, not everyone will proceed. Your sensitivity was never a weakness. It was evidence you arrived unshielded, without barriers, filters, or protection. And you've likely spent your existence wondering why the harshest souls found you, why pain penetrated more deeply for you than others, why you always felt excessively open, too raw, as though life's impact resonated more strongly with you than with others. Together, these dual portals unveil a unique soul type, one that incarnated not to defend but to transform. You weren't constructed to block pain. You were designed to absorb and reconstruct it. Because the universe understood something most forget. True alchemy doesn't occur behind thick walls. It happens when you weather the storm directly and emerge without becoming it. Your purpose wasn't to deflect darkness. It was to walk directly into it, allow it to see itself reflected in your eyes, and collapse under its own mirrored weight. Every undeserved betrayal, every inexplicable sorrow, that was your sacred work all along. So know, your sensitivity was never a liability. It was a cosmic mechanism, a spiritual catalyst. Because only those who shattered without hardening can channel this next wave of light. You're not withdrawing. You're being drawn inward. Recently, you might experience sudden urges to disconnect, not just from people, but from patterns, from routines that once centered you, from conversations that now feel empty, from relationships, careers, interests, even aspirations that once aligned, but now feel like costumes from a role you've outgrown. And here's the curious part. It's not because you're damaged. It's not because you're spiraling. And certainly not because you're surrendering. You're being carefully, precisely, intentionally extracted. When soul evolution outpaces physical adaptation, solitude becomes sanctuary, not symptom. This isn't retreat, it's refinement. Mars, the force of forward momentum, and the silent severer of karmic bonds are currently collaborating in a way that disrupts every false reflection you've maintained. They're removing unnecessary approval, dissolving the feedback loop that was molding you into someone you were never meant to become. For many chosen ones, this isn't social withdrawal, it's spiritual cloaking. Your frequency is being concealed, protected from distractions, shielded from energies that would interfere with your internal rewiring. This period of reduced visibility, it's not failure, it's sacred. You're not being hidden from the world. You're being sheltered from the old paradigm that no longer comprehends your evolution. If you've been criticizing yourself for not showing up as before, cease. You're not vanishing. You're shifting dimensions. This isn't about being antisocial. This is about becoming unavailable to energies that no longer match your frequency. You're withdrawing because your soul is undergoing transformation, and this process requires privacy. So if you're craving solitude like oxygen, if everyday noise feels overwhelming, if you've lost interest in being visible, understand this: you're not disappearing. You're simply no longer perceivable to what was never meant to contain you. You're in transition, and soon, when the transformation completes, you'll emerge, but not as a version edited for their comfort. You'll return as the signal they cannot ignore. Something within you has finished obeying rules you never accepted. Have you noticed it? That quiet, inexplicable resistance rising from your core like a second heartbeat. Not aggressive, not angry, but steady, irrational, undeniable. This isn't about rebellion for drama's sake. This isn't about creating conflict or proving points. This is something deeper, more ancient, a revolt in your nervous system that whispers no before your mind comprehends why. It's not anger, it's refusal, and it's sacred. Mars governs action. The force that dissolves illusions moves with it, and together they're awakening the part of you that no longer wishes to perform, the part that rejects pretense, the part that refuses to diminish itself for others' comfort. You're becoming aware of how frequently you've compromised your energy to maintain peace. You've agreed when uncertain. You've smiled through pain. You've remained in situations you'd outgrown out of loyalty to a former version of yourself. But now the internal flame outgrows external masks, creating pressure, not to rebel, but to emerge. You might find yourself breaking patterns that once provided safety, declining invitations, removing contacts, leaving conversations midway, not from rudeness, but because you're done pretending you don't feel the shift. This isn't recklessness, it's realignment. Some will call it cold, some will say you've changed, and they're right. You've shifted frequency, and your new resonance doesn't apologize for maintaining boundaries. Because sacred defiance doesn't shout, it chooses. It doesn't need witnesses, it needs clarity. This is the era where the chosen ones begin declining without guilt, departing without explanation, and establishing boundaries with mere presence. You're not abandoning kindness. You're just no longer mistaking it for self-sacrifice. This isn't about becoming harsh. It's about remembering that gentleness, when misused, becomes erosion. And you've been eroding long enough. Now is the time to reclaim your no as a sacred act. Peace isn't passive. It's protected. Some victories leave no marks, just silence. There's a distinct exhaustion that doesn't stem from work, stress, or even trauma. It comes from carrying assignments invisible to others, spiritual tasks written in invisible ink, felt only in the weight behind your eyes and the pressure in your chest when surrounded by those who assume you're fine. This isn't trauma. This is responsibility you didn't choose but accepted. Mars is the planet of war. The force of detachment moves with it. Together, they're activating something mysterious, something sacred, missions that defy verbal expression, instructions whispered into your frequency without words, commands that bypass language and register directly in your nervous system. And the strangest part, others remain oblivious. You could be amid laughter, conversation, normal activities, yet feel engaged in an entirely different battle, like something moves through you, asking you to endure, hold, process, anchor, but never explain. This is what happens when a soul is chosen to transform timelines. You won't receive recognition. You might not even find relief. But there's a reason it falls to you and not others. Because you know how to carry spiritual weight without dropping it. You know how to walk through fire without appearing consumed. You've done it before. That's why you were chosen again. Spiritual warfare doesn't always manifest as chaos. Sometimes it's smiling through a storm others can't hear. So if you felt unusually isolated lately, like your pain lacks definition, your growth lacks witnesses, and your struggle lacks narrative, this is why. You're not imagining it, you're not fabricating it, and you're not alone, but you are being tasked. This isn't punishment, this is trust. And while others sleep peacefully through the storm, you're being asked to stand in it, to ground it, to transform it. Because even if no one else recognizes your battle, the energy does, the universe does, and it's watching your response. Just because they don't see the war doesn't mean you're not winning it. Your physical form rests, your soul remains active. There's a fatigue that transcends lack of sleep. It persists even after extended rest. It follows you through your days like mist in your lungs, like static in your bones. And no supplement, no morning routine, no inspirational message seems to lift it. If you've been waking more exhausted than when you slept, like your soul has been elsewhere engaged in unnamed tasks, you're not imagining it. You're working while you sleep. When the world rests, some remain called. This force drifts. It doesn't adhere to time. It moves between realms, drawing Mars, the force of action, into invisible battlegrounds that transcend temporal boundaries. And the chosen ones, they're being enlisted into these missions nightly. This isn't metaphorical. This is real energy. You're being called into subconscious operations, soul-level interventions, grid stabilizations, ancestral reconciliations, even collective energy work. You won't recall details because you're not meant to. Not from forgetfulness, but for protection. Have you experienced dreams beyond description? That's not memory failure. That's protection. You wake feeling something occurred, but can't explain what. Your body aches unexplainably. Your heart feels heavy without cause. You're not emotionally overwhelmed, just worn, like something passed through you, like something used your vessel as a portal, leaving only echoes. That's because your nights aren't restful. They're active, not in your mind, but in your field. And that's what others don't understand. You're not tired from laziness. You're carrying out soul work in realms most don't acknowledge. But you know they exist because you feel them, even when you can't explain them. So if you've been waking with chest heaviness, limb vibrations, or the persistent sense that something occurred during sleep, you're right. It did. You're not just sleeping through the night. You're working through the dark. And the fatigue you feel, it's evidence. The chosen don't rest like others. Even in dreams, they serve. If it disappeared, it was never meant to hold you. Lately, there's been this strange interference pattern in the chosen ones' lives. Plans that seemed solid crumble without warning. Promising connections suddenly vanish. Doors that were partially open slam shut, not gradually, but abruptly. Initially, it feels like failure. It feels like rejection. It feels like life is deliberately destabilizing you. But it's not sabotage. It's redirection at spirit's velocity. The universe doesn't always guide with signs. Sometimes it guides by removing everything inauthentic. There's a reason your usual safety nets no longer work, why secure choices now create resistance. It's because your soul has upgraded its coordinates, and anything misaligned with that new trajectory faces forced collapse. This energy doesn't negotiate. It doesn't wait for understanding. It doesn't seek approval. It simply clears, cuts, collapses. because it knows that if even one thread of your old narrative survives, you'll be tempted to grasp it when fear returns. Currently, you're being protected from your own survival instincts. You're being prevented from regressing disguised as progress, from repeating tolerable but unfulfilling relationships, from accepting reasonable but uninspiring opportunities, from compromising for stability when your soul demands truth. This isn't testing faith. This is rescuing you from everything that would have dimmed your light. So if you're mourning possibilities that dissolve before manifesting, if you're confused by sudden instability, it's because the wrong path isn't just being blocked, it's being erased. You're not being punished, you're being preserved. And your discomfort? That's not failure, that's traction. You're not meant to retreat, you're not meant to stagnate. You're being redirected toward the timeline that won't demand self-betrayal as entrance fee. This isn't the universe rejecting you, it's rejecting for you. When your frequency elevates, your visibility diminishes. A unique loneliness unfolds this week. Messages remain unanswered. Former connections avoid energetic contact. And the hardest part, you can't even feel angry because something in you recognizes it's not personal. It's spiritual static, frequency mismatch, necessary separation. You're not being abandoned, you're being preserved. When your energy shifts, and currently it's shifting dramatically, not everyone can maintain connection, nor should they. Because if they could still reach you, they'd still try to mold you. They'd still project their old version of you back onto you. So those who only knew your camouflaged self won't comprehend your authentic form. That's appropriate. That's intentional. You were never meant to be universally accessible, especially now. Mars is activating your rawest truth, the aspects that refuse to soften for palatability, that won't shrink to fit old dynamics, that no longer apologize for boundaries or intensity. And the other energy at play, it's not just eliminating dead weight, it's ensuring your new frequency remains undisturbed by irrelevant opinions. You're being cloaked, not for isolation, but for protection during revelation. You're not meant to be understood. You're meant to be revealed. So don't panic when crowds thin. Don't diminish when silence falls. This isn't rejection. This is noise removal. Those who distance themselves this week aren't betraying you. They're naturally falling out of resonance. Those who misunderstand aren't wrong. They're still watching your previous evolution while you've progressed. Chosen ones don't receive approval this week. They receive clarity. Clarity about who doesn't deserve to witness their becoming. And yes, it's solitary, but it's the necessary solitude. The kind that clears space for authentic connections to find you. This isn't about popularity. This is about becoming unreachable by the wrong frequencies. There's a distinction between being quiet and being commanded to hold something beyond words. Certain individuals walk this world carrying oceans within. They know too much, feel too deeply, see what others can't or won't, yet speak minimally, not from uncertainty, not from disconnection, but from spiritual directive to contain more than they express. And that's not silence, that's containment, that's mastery. Some are permitted to speak, others remain silent because they already know. The chosen ones carry this weight more profoundly than most. Recently, it's intensified, the tension between what demands expression and what must remain contained. You feel truth rising like flame in your throat, but something restrains you. Not fear, not doubt, something higher, something ancient, a directive from beyond logic. Because some truths aren't meant for expression, they're meant for embodiment. And you know this, you've always known. This is the unique path of the spiritual communicator, watching the world question what you've already answered internally, but knowing that premature revelation wouldn't enlighten, it would overwhelm. Wisdom isn't knowing what to say, it's knowing when silence serves better. Let's acknowledge, this isn't easy. It's one thing to feel unseen. It's another to feel like a vault. You carry timelines beyond description, information that defies language, revelations that arrive in solitary flashes. And instead of recognition, you receive restraint. Instead of relief, you get responsibility. You navigate daily life with spiritual tectonics shifting within while maintaining normal conversation. You're not unstable, you're encoded. And the greatest challenge, you can't explain the weight of that silence, how it builds, how sometimes your chest seems to split from containing all you can't voice. This isn't repression, this is responsibility. Mars awakens the roar within, the drive to be seen, to declare, to fight for your truth. But that other force, it clears the stage. It says, not yet. It's not punishing you. It's refining you so that when you finally speak, it won't be noise. It'll be spiritual revelation. The most powerful truths aren't always spoken. Some are simply lived until the world catches up. If you're still here, thank you for your attention. If this resonated, please consider subscribing. Your support means everything. Share your experiences in the comments below. Until next time, take care and subscribe for more profound insights.